is pretty pathetic.
The reason why we have so many of these interactions that are terrible is because you have individuals, and this is not a race issue. This is
Definitely a race issue.
No, this is not a race issue because a lot of white people get shot and killed too because they're idiots as well. Has nothing to do with race. This has everything to do with people don't have respect for one another.
But if there's wrongdoing, is there punishment?
Their parents are not raising these kids to have respect for authority. They don't respect their own parents. I think in a lot of these cases, you have these kids who are growing up and they're allowed to say, F you, dad, F you to this. They think they can talk to their parents any which way they want. So when they're speaking to a police officer, what's the difference? I just said, fuck you to my dad, so I'm going to talk to this police officer, whoever I want anyways. And then they want to hold court out there in the middle of the street. You're under arrest. You're not going to be able to perform a defense in court right there in the middle of the street. Take the L, you're going to jail, fight it with a lawyer later, and then you'll actually live. At what point do you think it's okay to start fighting with a police officer?
George Floyd.
What? You mean the fentanyl overdose that he had?
He was disrespectful, and
that's another thing. That one was not as clear cut and dry as we are led to believe to begin with either. Have you watched the body cam video? I was pissed as hell when that George Floyd stuff came out. I cried. It was super terrible. And when this first stuff happened, I said, burn down that police station. Let's go. That was ridiculous. Have you watched the police cam video of the body cam? Different narrative. Things change. That's the problem with these videos. We see these short clip seconds that totally change the narrative, but we don't see everything that led up to it and why these things actually happen. And then we get lies like
fentanyl overdose.
You can actually see in the body cam video that he actually has a pill that's right there.
Okay, so the lie is the knee on the neck had nothing to do with him dying.
No,
that's the lie.
It did, but it was in a combination with the fentanyl.
Had he not had a knee on his neck, he might have lived.
And George Floyd actually asked in that video if he could lay on the ground himself. He wanted to lay on the ground.
But did he ask for a knee on his neck?
And he told the officer...
He also told the officer, I can't breathe.
He told the officer he couldn't breathe from the moment that the officer talked to the guy. He hadn't even touched George Floyd yet, and he said, I can't breathe. So...
Okay, at what point did that happen? So he woke up...
yeah, because you haven't watched the video. You haven't watched everything that led up to this. This is the problem that I'm trying to say. We watch these short clips, and we don't get to see everything. George Floyd was telling those officers, I can't breathe, from the beginning. They haven't even touched it. I haven't even touched you yet. And you're telling me you can't breathe. So now when he's on the ground, after he's been acting a fool for how long, and he's still telling me he can't breathe, he's been telling me he can't breathe, and I just talked to him just a little bit ago. He's been fine.
So since he can't breathe, I'm going to put my knee on his neck.
Again, I'm not saying it was
right. Hold on, Chris. These are tactics that are not justified in law enforcement. You don't do that. You don't put your knee on somebody's neck. Even like in the other video when the officer had his knee on the guy's neck, and he was like, hey, man, get your knee off his neck. Because these are strategies and this choking and all this stuff, and these are not police tactics that are justified, that they're supposed to be using. So now here we have you in a situation, you're talking about everything else except the knee on the neck. He was high. He was belligerent. He said, I couldn't breathe. He put a knee on his neck. Had he not put the knee on the neck, he probably wouldn't have died. So if you just don't you only hold in responsibility on the victim. You're only saying you're dead because of your actions. No, you're dead because somebody killed you. It's kind of like when they say guns don't kill people, people with guns kill people. Mm-hmm. It's the exact same thing. Had he not put the knee on his neck, he might not be dead. If he would have just overdosed from drugs, we wouldn't have a video, would we?
The coroner's office said that the cause of death was
and then an independent investigator said no. The restraining of him with the knee on his neck is what killed him. So if I'm working for the state, I'm going to give the state narrative, and if I'm working for independently, I can give the independent narrative.
When they did a toxicology report that said there was a lethal dose
it doesn't mean that doesn't mean they should have put a knee on his neck and killed him.
No, I'm not saying it does.
So what does it matter? Why are you even bringing it up?
Because the narrative has totally...
Fuck the narrative. The narrative don't matter.
We're burning down our cities over criminals.
Would he not be dead if they didn't put the knee on his neck?
We are burning down our cities and destroying our livelihood over criminals. This is not okay.
Would he not be
These are not pastors of nice people that are being killed.
People on your side aren't nice people either.
I'm not. This is not about. This is not where a black preacher was killed by the cops for just walking down the street.
So unless you're a preacher, you deserve to die.
No, but George Floyd had more more
We're gonna talk about his past, right?
No, he had more funerals than a president gets. He was drug. They gave him
He had
funerals
17
all
funerals.
over the place.
Not Nixon. He has several funerals. Reagan had a lot of
What
funerals.
about the innocent people that get killed all the time? We never want to talk about this stuff. But it always comes down to when a criminal guy, a man who gets shot in the back that raped women. Where's the Me Too movement at? He was under invest. He had a warrant for his arrest
So
for
we
rape.
didn't talk about Philando Castile, an innocent guy who got shot in his car. We didn't talk about that.
We did talk about this, and me and you were both on the same thing.
Listen, you just said we don't talk about the innocent.
We didn't burn down cities over that, which was the country. We as a country.
The climate was different, but if you look at Dallas and you look in Louisiana, they were having riots around the same time, and that's why you didn't hear a whole lot about Philando Castile, because those were the bigger stories. And Philando Castile is only like a straw on, that was Minneapolis too, wasn't it?
Yes.
So this is like an ongoing thing. So maybe you got built up rage from Philando Castile, and whatever countless other people got killed for no reason that we don't talk about or we don't know about. And maybe this stuff has built up over time, which it has, because it's been happening forever. It's always been happening. So people are fed up. People are sick of the injustice. That's the only, I feel like there's only two sides. There's justice and there's injustice. If you don't promote justice, you promote injustice. And if you want to just talk about all the other stuff as opposed to true justice, true people, like, say that there are no issues where it's questionable or different narratives and all that. Say everything is clear cut. Do you absolutely believe that police officers who kill innocent people will be punished for it?
If it's clear cut, you mean clear cut that he was innocent, like that he shouldn't have killed them?
Okay, what crime justifies a cop killing a person? Because they're not jury, they're not judge. So what crime justifies that you should kill somebody as a cop? How deep is it? All right, if you holding drugs, if you're accused of having drugs, I mean, if you stole something from a store, if you're accused of stealing something and you actually didn't steal it, what justifies shooting or killing a black person, unarmed in most cases? What justifies that?
There is no crime that does that.
But I'm just saying, if you want to say that they're criminals, okay, what level of criminal do we kill and what level of criminal do we let go see trial?
There is no level of criminal.
But you're calling them criminals as if, since you committed a crime and you had an interaction with the police, if the police killed you, you shouldn't have been a criminal. Well, okay, you committed a crime. That means you go to jail. That means you see trial. That means a jury of your peers. That's the American way, not a cop killing you. So the fact that police go and kill people recklessly and go like, I'm in danger, I'm a killing.
Yeah, that's the word right there. When the police officer is in danger.
So they say. You can say you're in danger. If you shoot somebody after the fact, you're like, hey man, I was just scared. You can always use that excuse. This is especially in these stand your ground states, like George Zimmerman. He was never in danger, but he was like, oh man, there's a black kid running through my neighborhood. I didn't know him, so I had to kill him.
George Zimmerman wasn't a police officer.
Free. You're free. You're free. Go home.